Before starting any type of business that sells a product, it's important to answer three key questions: what, who, and how. Or more precisely, what am I selling? Who am I selling it to? And how am I selling it? Let's look at these three questions in relation to e-commerce. The first question is, what am I selling? If you think about it, depending on the type of product you're selling, how you handle that product in your shop, online or in real life, changes dramatically. If you're selling a physical product, you have to keep things like stock management and shipping in mind. Of course, if you have a set stock of product, you can't sell more than you physically have. And once someone purchases a product from you, you have to get it from your location to their location. And depending on your product, that may cost a lot of money or very little money, and you have to figure out who's going to offset that cost. If you sell a digital product, like an ebook or some other digital entity, then the stock management isn't as important. What is important are other elements like copy protection and stock control. Should the person who purchases the product be able to download it multiple times? Should they be able to come back and re-download it later if they lost the original product? And what happens if you make an update to the product? Should original purchasers get the update for free, or do they have to pay either a portion of the original cost or buy the product again to get the new update? If you sell a service, you also have to think about stock management. And yeah, I know that sounds a little bit odd, but if you think about it, a service is really selling time that you have, and you only have so much time to sell. So if you sell a service, you have to make sure you don't sell more of the service than you're able to provide, because then you're basically taking people's money and not giving them anything in return. The next question is, who am I selling it to? I don't mean you need to know the people you are selling it to personally. What I mean is you need to understand your customers' likely behavior on your site and also what they expect from your site. You have to ask questions like, what is my customer's preferred payment options? While some people trust sites like PayPal implicitly, other people are very reluctant to provide their payment information online, and for good reason. It seems risky to give away your payment information to an unknown site. Based on what you think or what you know your customer's preferred payment options are, you need to provide different types of payment solutions. It could be a payment gateway like PayPal, or it could be entering credit card information directly into your site, or it could be offering other types of payment options like a check or a money order or even a direct bank transfer. It all depends on what you're comfortable with and what you think your customer is comfortable with. You also have to think about whether your customer is going to buy just one product or several products. If you give them the option of bundling products together, this may change how you're going to ship the product. And it also may change whether you want to provide volume discounts or if you want to provide other incentives to bundle products together. How likely is your customer to return to your site? This depends on what type of product you're selling. In some cases, people will only buy one product once and then they'll never buy anything again. But in other cases, people may want to return again and again to buy more products, either the same product or products like it. If that's the case, you may want to give the customer the option of setting up an account so they can go back to the site and see their previous purchases, and also so that they can save their shopping cart. And this is really important. Many people like to shop online while they're at work, and then they place what they want to buy in the shopping cart. And then when they come home from work, they go over their shopping cart and make sure that that's actually what they want to buy, and then they make that purchase. So giving people the option of setting up an account and saving their shopping cart may induce people to buy more of your product, or it may not. It really depends on what you're selling and who your customer is. Is your customer likely to share your products with their friends? If so, you should make it easy to share this content. Social sharing, like sharing content on Twitter or Facebook or Google+, or in particular on Pinterest, has become extremely important in marketing online sales. So giving people the ability to share your products on these services can be powerful in getting more customers. But it requires that your product is something that is worth sharing, that it's easy to share, and also that it's something that you want them to share. Because if you want your product to be exclusive or you have a specific type of service you're selling, you may not want people to share it on social media. It all depends on your product and your customer. Finally, you have to think about how your customer wants to get your product. Again, this depends on what type of product you're selling, but if you're selling a physical product, does your customer want it shipped by regular mail or by expedited shipping through a shipping service? Or do they want to come and pick it up? Do they want to buy it in a store? Or do they want you to provide it to them in person? All these things are possible. It depends on what you want to do and what your customer is willing to pay for. Finally, you have to look at how you are selling the product. In some cases, you may want to sell the product online only. This makes it easy to manage stock and accounting, and it also makes it easy for people to know where to get the product. But selling it online only might not always be the best solution. In many cases, you want to sell your content both online and in a store. If you do that, you have to make sure that you keep your stock in order, so you know that you're not overselling the product either online or in the store, and that you have product available. You have to remember, when people buy products in a store, they can see if there are no more products available. However, when it's online, unless you keep your stock in check, you may end up in a situation where people buy more products than you physically have, and then you have to figure out a way of handling that. Some people choose to use a distributor to sell their content. That way, their stock management is handed over to someone else, and they are responsible for selling that product. But it also puts a person in between you and the customer, so you lose a bit of control. This is great if you have large volumes of product to sell, but it's a trade-off, so you have to figure out if this is the right solution for you. Another popular option when you have an online store is to also sell person-to-person or business-to-business. You'll often see people who sell things like t-shirts will also sell those t-shirts live in venues or during fairs and stuff like that. That way, people who are reluctant to buy things online because they don't want to pay shipping or because they want to see the product in person are able to buy that product without paying for shipping and to see it before they buy it. But again, if you're selling it person to person, you have to make sure you keep your stock in check. And what a lot of people do to get around this is when they sell a product person to person, they still register it in their e-commerce solution as if they sold it online. They just take out the shipping option. That way, their stock management is kept in order, and they can also see all the sales. They'll just put a note saying, I sold this in person instead of online. A relatively new option that's becoming more popular now is to also sell your product through an online vendor. And here I'm thinking in particular of Amazon.com. Amazon.com lets you list your product on their service, and then you can either sell it directly through Amazon.com or through one of their third-party systems. That way, you can have your own e-commerce site and reach your customers that way. And you can also reach customers that are searching for your product or something like your product in the Amazon.com library. And that way you have two channels. But again, when you do that, you have to keep in mind you have to keep your stock in check. And you also have to remember that when you sell things through Amazon, they take a cut. So you lose a bit of your profits. Answering the questions of what, who, and how up front will make the planning of your online store a lot easier and save significant time when you're setting up the store. Take some time to think these questions through and write down your answers for later so you have a good foundation to start from.